What's going on, guys? Too Fast Joey here, and welcome to the Too Fast Podcast. With me today, you know him, you love him. It's Generation Defenders and Ruby.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast.
Guys.
Great. So today we have two new episodes. Let's talk about the Steven Tag episode.
Oh my god, this is a much better episode than the last episode we had.
Yes.
Oh, I feel like this episode did a much better time showing the moral of it's okay to take a break, especially since you're working hard, rather than last episodes with just Sunstone and Rainbow Quartz. A wasted potential, really, to see them running around and like to see their return.
Yeah, it kind of sad to see that they return within a filler episode that is basically non-canon.
Mm-hmm. I think that honestly, I think if we have quote unquote filler episodes, I would want filler episodes like this one. This
Right.
is a much better, more entertaining, and much more funny and heartfelt episode than the last episode we got.
Oh yeah, and, like I have nothing wrong with filler episodes. It just as long as they're interesting, and they catch my attention.
Yeah, honestly, like a lot of Steven Universe filler episodes are actually really fun and enjoyable. But last episode, I would say it's the worst episode by far.
Oh yeah, especially when just non-canon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Real
it started off with Steven waking up and like he got his like work schedule and all of the gems were like, hey, let's hang out like old times, like when you were a kid. Like, nah, bro, I got work to do. I gotta go into town and get some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
We find out that Steven is now grown up, and what I like is that has also matured,
oh
and
yeah,
he has the sort of, well, he has left all his kid interests good away, which is normal for a teenage boy. Like you you're not the same person as you were when you were a little kid. When you grow up, you're going to either either lose interest in a lot of things that you liked as a kid, or you're going to end up hating a lot of the things that you did as a kid, which is what Steven did. And I liked how even like the gems are trying to like get him to do the stuff that he liked as a kid, but almost like parents. But he's not. He's a teenager.
right. It's
And
like
apparently he's a
here's your old backpack, and like here's that movie you liked, but he doesn't like that stuff anymore.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, apparently Steven is vegan now.
What is this?
Which is like I don't know. It's like I can't see him as vegan. Especially like the whole saying, if every pork chop was perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs and all that. And like in the first opening of the show, it shows Steven eating a hot dog, so I can't really see him as a vegan.
That's true, but you also have to remember that Steven's character is that he loves every organic thing in the world, like even whether it's humans, aliens, or even animals or sentient life forms, he always loves them. So I guess in a way it does make sense for him to become vegetarian,
Yeah, I
as
guess.
and he says that he started to be a vegetarian. Maybe it won't last so long, or maybe this is just a phase for him.
Yeah, cause like, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't like in like was like the second or third episode he was like eating a pizza.
Yep, and he claimed that he was a vegetarian for a month.
Yeah.
So that means that these episodes are being spaced out. It's not happening all in a couple of days. Time is really going by.
Right. And then like he said, when they try to eat pancakes, they're like, "Oh, this is too much sugar." Like good for him. It's like he's watching his figure
Mm-hmm.
because in the beginning, He was just a little chunky boy.
Our little
Big
chunky boy.
boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially like in the beginning, he was like, "Oh, I get my powers from eating ice cream." It was like that. No,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So good for him. And then the gems, they since it got snowed in, little homeschool is canceled for the day, and so Steven he tries to get some work done, but then Amethyst say, "Hey, let's play Steven tag."
And then she's like, "We got to turn into classic Steven," and you can see the hurt in Steven's face when she says "classic Steven."
Classic Steven. Everyone knows classic Steven is better Steven than modern Steven.
Mm-hmm. I think that also hurts him in a personal level because later on in the episode, he claims that he doesn't want to be seen as a kid. He wants to be taken more seriously because he is growing up and he does want to get rid of some of his childish habits. So he wants to be viewed more as an adult, which makes sense for someone his age when you're 16 or is he still 16 or how
Yes,
many? Okay,
he's still
so
16. Yeah, it won't make any sense just to make another time skip from here to the movie, So
hmm
he's still 16.
so it would make sense for a 16-year-old to want that. Like I guess he's still technically a kid, but he's not a little kid anymore.
Right.
Anyone in that age is trying to transition into an adult.
Yeah, he's a young adult.
Mm-hmm.
And so they started playing Steven tag, and Steven like even Pearl got into it, which is like the first time we see Pearl shapeshift, and she kept her nose.
There was a lot of good character moments in this episode. We got the episode where Pearl finally shapeshifts again, and we see all of them want to play with Steven like they're little kids again.
Right. And then yeah, I wanted to call this the recolor episode because that's all it was.
A recolor episode?
You know what I mean? They just took one character and like gave it another character's color. That's essentially what this Steven tag is.
Hmm. Well, what I like about this episode is that we see everyone just having fun. Like there wasn't really that much of a thread. It's just these characters just running around and having fun and being over dramatically silly, especially like when they get outside and we see the fusions
Oh God.
of Steven.
Yeah, like freaking, we haven't seen the purple one in forever. For
Sugalite,
obvious reasons, because the voice actor is hella expensive. But yeah, like we see that purple one. We see
Sugalite,
yeah, what's the name? Ugalite,
Sugalite.
Sugalite. Yeah, yeah. We see the return of that, but in a Steven form. We see what's the pearl and garnet one?
Sardonyx.
Sardonyx. We saw that one in Steven form, and then we saw Opal in Steven form.
How are they fusing so fast?
You know, they're
Oh.
just quick.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, we see Alexandre as Steven.
Yeah.
And then we get this.
It's okay.
It's like I don't mind when animations are like they be very expressive. That's like the beauty of animation. When they break the character and like really do something like this. But this frame right here, it really took me out. I was like, what the hell was that?
Honestly, when I saw it, I loved it. I laughed like crazy. It's Simpson Steven.
Oh yeah, freaking Homer.
More Steven.
Yeah, I love this. I like it when Steven Universe has that very expressive face instead of like the stereotypical.
Yeah,
I like it when they do sort of go off model, but this is the example of off model done well because because Steven Universe is kind of famous for how their character sizes kind of varies each episode.
Yeah,
I think that this off model is actually uh done right rather than the animation errors that we've had in Steven Universe.
right. I don't know. It just this frame right here just took me on the moment just for a brief second. But yeah,
Now now I want more of stuff like that. That was just hilarious.
yeah. And then we got like all the Smash Bros. References, like Steven joins a battle. You know, we got Sardonyx joins a battle. And every time I see that, all I think of Smash Bros. Like, oh, hee ha da. But yes, Steven, he gets he actually started participating in the game, started running away and going up the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see them defuse, and we see Ruby and Sapphire defuse, and I thought that was like a weird thing that they would defuse just for this game. You know, the only time we see them defuse and when like either in a stressed out situation or during the baseball episode. You know.
Well, they defused because they just wanted to play with Steven. And they even said later on in the episode that they just really, really missed him. So what they just wanted to really have fun. Like the entire episode, everyone was just so desperate to spend time with Steven that they just went crazy because in the original Steven universe, the gems were always like busy and they didn't have any time to play with Steven when he was a kid, and now that he is 16 years old and he's older, now they want to play with him, which
Yeah, because
a
like
lot of parents do
yeah,
when
because in the beginning,
become teenage.
in the beginning, they were always basically trying to capture gems and putting it into bubbles. They were always doing something. But now they're in times of peace, so they have actual free time to hang out with Steven. But now that Steven's older, he got his own stuff to do.
Which which I think a lot of parents and parents of teenagers can relate. They
Steven gets tagged and he reverts back into classic Steven, which is like he's really tiny. I never realized how tiny he was. And then the 2 years, he basically was a late bloomer. He hit growth spurt late, and now he's like twice his size.
mm-hmm.
And then we get the whole speech of like, this isn't me anymore. I'm not a kid. You need to see me for who I am now.
Which is now in a young adult,
Right.
and many people can. This is honestly a good lesson for anyone who still has is still like looking at people in the past, or they're trying to remember the good old times. You have to let go of what someone was. You need to focus on who they are now.
Yeah, that's what I like about episodes. Like, there's an episode that could reach for kids and adults. Everyone could learn a lesson from this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's basically it. They learn to accept Steven for a grown adult, and they upgrade the game to modern Steven.
Yeah, they come to a compromise by the end of the episode when we see the final image of them in the Dandai. Steven still wraps himself up the way that Pearl did in the beginning, and he is but he still has his protein shake, and but this time everyone's in the car with him.
Right.
So they finally came to a compromise instead of one side is right and the other just has to deal with them.
Right.
So have
I
you know the
Yeah, Ruby.
meaning they change it?
I think she's talking to someone.
I mean the painting of the in the remember there used to be rose quartz.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they changed the
True.
painting.
Yeah, like we talked about maybe the rose quartz painting was going to come back, but instead they replaced it with an entirely new painting.
Oh, yeah. And then I want to say, Steven, he has like full access to Rose's room now.
Yeah, and we also see in a brief scene when Garnet comes running through her door that there's still bubble gems in there too.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Third gem.
like we see, just like a little bit. I don't think it was an animation error. Maybe the
Like they
the
could be
gems that
reusing
they,
backgrounds.
huh?
They could be reusing backgrounds and they didn't notice.
No, I was gonna say that maybe the gems that they uncorrupted weren't all the gems. Maybe they only uncorrupted the crystal gems, but they left the homeworld gems still corrupt, at least bubbled for a while. And then, like, one by one, there's, you know, uncorrupting them, like how we saw in episode 1.
Yeah, that is a possibility because we did see Steven say in that episode to Jasper like some of those gems, well, was following you. They were your soldiers, and they were trying to live a better life. So there is some homeworld gems on there, like the centipedal. That was a homeworld gem.
Mm-hmm.
So we see a couple of those.
Yeah, maybe like that's what. Maybe that's the reason, or it's like you said. Maybe they're just reusing background, but hopefully, like that's not it. Maybe they are just they're still uncorrupted gems bubbled in their room.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I bet they're chatter.
The what?
Chatter gems.
Shadow gems.
Oh yeah, there was an
Chatter.
episode where Pearl had a bubble that had shattered gems, and then she and Amethyst had to form a secret team.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. So yeah, it could be the shadow ones because you can't really fix a shadow gem. You can fix a cracked one, but you can't fix shattered.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, it's like I feel like they could like put the shadow gems with the cluster. Add more gems to the pile.
Speaking of the cluster, do you think the cluster is going to come back later on?
Most likely, I'm pretty sure they'll make a reference to it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it for this episode. Let's go on to the Lapis episode.
So, what I liked about this episode was that even though there was 4 characters, there were just two. In reality, two voice actors that were just acting this entire episode, and it was so good.
Oh yeah. I gotta say, visually, there was a lot of blue. I'm not just talking about the characters, I'm talking about the background and with the trees and everything. There was a whole lot of shade of blue in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And what's great about it, like, I didn't feel like I didn't lose track of any of the characters. Like, even though they were blue and the background was blue, the characters still popped out. I like how they could like use different shades, and even though they could still make them like pop and not have them blend in with the background.
Mm-hmm.
That what I like visually. And then we get to see him, destroying the planet with water powers, like using saw blades and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, and the 2 lapises, as someone pointed out in another video, are supposed to represent our lapises 2 sides. The nice one is supposed to represent her enjoyment of nature and the willingness to change or at least try out new things. But then the mean one is supposed to be her destructive nature, where she doesn't want to listen to reason and just either runs or fights.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get that a lot this season. Coming how we had the 2 pearls, we got our pearl and pink pearl supposed to represent our pearl in the past.
And now these lapises are going to represent lapis lazuli's
How she
past.
was
Yeah,
back
how
on
she
homeworld.
was. Yeah, maybe we're going to see like a paradox duality crisis, or maybe bismuth. I want a bismuth episode soon. She needs more development.
Right, but we'll get to her when she gets on an episode. Right now, we gotta talk about Lapis.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so Steven says, "Hey, you don't have to be doing this anymore," And then he said, "The diamonds have no control over you." And I'm like, so what do the diamonds do anymore? Like, do they have power? It's like, if they don't control anyone, then why are they in power? Like, what's going on?
Maybe they're just supposed to be like rulers in the sense that they're just foreseeing everything. That, or maybe they're just playing with Spinel.
I don't know. It's like um, we saw in the human zoo episode with the rose quartz. They were Collie Blue was just saying all they talk about is Steven. So I want to know like what do they do? Like obviously they gotta do something. Like maybe they don't have like a, rule with Iron Fist anymore. If they wanna, I feel like gems. If they wanna follow the diamonds, they still will.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the freedom to like not listen to them and they go do their own thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, in this episode, it also establishes that even though gems do have the freedom to not do what they were originally made to do, some of them did like their jobs, like the lapises.
Yeah, and also in the episode when you see all the gems having jobs and stuff, you see some of them still act their jobs as if they were on Homeworld. You see the rubies pass by, it's like, hey, this is just like Homeworld. We like this. So some gems still do like their jobs, and others don't. But I don't know. It's like with the lapises, it's kind of hard to find a job for them that they could like destroy a planet and get away with it.
Maybe they can help demolish cities on Earth.
I don't know. We gotta find something for them, so for them to like demolishing and still have it be good.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see. So Steven and Lapis go and they talk to each other like, how are we gonna do this? And Lapis said, let's torture them. So I like how badass Lapis is. Like we can do a little torture.
Almost did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they almost did at the end.
I mean that wasn't torture. That was just brutality. We were about to like proof them.
Mm-hmm. We also learned that apparently at Homeworld, the only gems that ever sang or danced were the pearls.
Right.
And Homeworld sort of viewed dancing or singing as something that maybe servants would do as entertainment, or it's just seen for it as an entertainer would do. So maybe even Spinel sing and dance for Pink Diamond.
Oh yeah, she would do whatever she did to make Pink Diamond happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Steven started playing the song, you see one of Lapis started like moving her arms. And for a second I was like, is she flossing? Did they put flossing in Steven Universe?
I don't think it was flossing. I think
I
she
don't know.
was just moving her hands back and forth.
Right? It's just that flossing ruins everything, You take your arms, swing it back and forth, and automatically you think of flossing.
So next, we see her do a meat mort, which also shows that not only can Lapis manipulate water or maybe even liquids, she can also manipulate substances that have water, like
Right.
mud.
Yeah.
And and, uh, and with what Lapis can already do, and even later on, we see her one of her full potentials.
Right.
She is a really crazily powerful gem.
Oh yeah. She's like really powerful. Even the other Lapis was like, "We'll listen to you. You're awesome. You have so much power. We'll listen to you."
Yeah, but like, what is it about our Lapis that makes her so insanely powerful? Like, even in Steven Universe, she is just a very overpowered gem, and
I would say
we
her
don't.
emotions.
For sure.
Yeah, but if she's supposed to be like in Era 1 Lapis, where are the other Era 1 Lapises? There has to be more, because I think these two have to be from Era 2.
I still say it's her emotion that give her the edge. Not only that, she has like more versatile. She can do more with her water bending. With the chains and the hands. the other two Lapises didn't do that. You know, they learned that in battle, but our Lapis, you know, she obviously like trained and most likely learned something when she was with Jasper, even though it was abusive and like toxic. I'm pretty sure she learned something while she was fused.
But like even before Jasper, she was more creative with her water bending because when she first comes out of the mirror, she does her water hand to fight the crystal gems, and then she tries to bend the entire ocean, and then she does the water clones. So even before Jasper, she was already creative with her water bending skills,
Well,
and
I want to say all gems are equally powered. You know, there's some gems that are more powerful than others. You know, so I'm assuming our Lapis was like a higher up, like high power gem. You know.
but I think gems are supposed to be equally powerful when they first come out, unless like they're defected, like amethyst or
But you look at the
skinny
Jaspers.
jasper.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Jaspers. Like it's all depending. Like they're not all supposed to, like in a perfect world. You know, they were supposed to be equal, but there are some gems shine brighter than the others. You know. So this Lapis, she just came out more powerful than the rest. You know, that's why she was on Earth and just one Lapis, while others, you know, you might have two or three. You know, we don't know how many, but this Lapis was the only one. She was you know, the one that could morph the Earth by herself because she was so powerful.
I guess that's a possibility. I would actually like to see an episode explaining how a gem's strength is, because with what we know about them is that when they come out, they already know what they're supposed to be. They already have the knowledge of their skills when they pop out, and they're supposed to be like that forever. Or that's their final design is supposed to be like that forever, but
Yeah, yeah.
we don't really know like how strong they can be when they come out. Like unless like you're a defect, that would uh, that would obviously do something or like affect your strength. But what would your strength really vary if all of you come out as the same?
Well, it all depends on like the rock and how much you know, like the formation of the rock and like how you exit, a bunch of other stuff. You know, Peridot knows more about this, you know, but you know, there are a lot of factors going into it. Even the slightest thing could like change you from like, you know, from A to B, you know, being in too long, you know, coming out late, coming out early, you know, having the rock misshapen and a bunch of other stuff. You know, that's all factored on like how powerful you are.
So, you think our lapis must have been popped up from a really really good rock then?
Oh yeah, I mean like Jasper, she's like the perfect example. You know, she came out perfect in every way. I'm not saying Lapis came out perfect in every way, but she came close. You know, she's a cut above the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like we see Lapis. She it summons all the water and becomes like giant Lapis. And she was about to end these two Lapises, but she turned to Steven, and Steven's all sad like, "No, bro, you shouldn't do this."
Which Steven, you're a big hypocrite. How many times have you turned on Pink Steven to win your battles these last episodes?
Yeah, I mean,
And so
with Aquamarine and Ruby, it's like there was no redeeming qualities for them. You know, they knew what they were doing. With these two, I feel like they were. I don't know. It's like they could at
it's just
least try to
immature.
talk it out at first. You know, try to explain to them this is no good. You know, talk first and then throw hands. But yeah, Steven is a bit of a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm. But it's also kind of like a parallel between him and Lapis, because when Steven started out, he was a pacifist and he only wanted to talk, and he was very upset when he had to fight or he couldn't save someone. Now, now in future, he's starting to fight more and he's starting to be a little more aggressive.
Yeah, that's good.
With Lapis, that when she started off in Steven Universe, she was more aggressive and she fought first, and she didn't want to listen to reason at all until in future she's much more passive and she wants to talk things out. She even like told the Lapises that her fighting wasn't a strength; it was a weakness, and that that real strength comes from being patient and learning how to solve things through talking rather than throwing hands.
Right.
So it's kind of like a good parallelism between how far both of them have come. They kind of switched places.
Yeah, the last two episodes is like Steven switched places. The first episode, last episode, the tag one. The role was switched.
Mm-hmm.
And now in this one, the role is switched too. With Steven has to tell Lapis, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it really shows how Steven's grown up.
Yeah, it also shows that he has matured because even when they return to Little Home School, he tells Lapis not to worry about them. Sometimes there's some people you can't save, which someone would have told him that when he was younger, like if when he couldn't save Eyeball or he couldn't save Jasper,
Right.
someone would tell him that. Now it's his turn to tell somebody else that.
That's good. And then we see one of the Lapis is like, "Hey, is this that home place you were talking about?" Which to me is like, I'm not convinced that this gem is fully good yet. My little theory is that she's just a plant. She's just there to scope out the area and report back to the other Lapis. So maybe these two Lapises, Eyeball and Aquamarine, gonna team up. Trying to take down this whole system.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my little theory right now.
I agree with that. I don't trust the nice Lapis at all. I don't believe that this nice one or Freckles turned good all of a sudden. I think she's either A, yeah, really is just being a spy, or B, she's being manipulated by the curly Lapis Lazuli.
Yeah, the more dominant one.
Yeah, because if she really is dominant and suddenly the ponytailed Lapis becomes good, it would have taken a longer time for her to suddenly separate from the curly one.
Yeah.
Especially since when she was dancing, she was shot down immediately by the curlied one. So it would have taken a longer time for her to have the courage
To leave her.
to leave her.
But yeah,
Relationship.
that's these are the two episodes. Any final thoughts?
I
I feel
want
they're lame.
You want what? All right, Generations. What do you think?
more episodes like these. If we can have more episodes like these two, we would be fine for future. And let's try to avoid last week's episode, or at least
Yeah,
Sunstone and Rainbow Quartz episodes like that. I'm not
yeah,
saying that I don't want to see Sunstone and Rainbow Quartz 2.0 again. Like, they are really good fusions, and I love their designs and I love their characters. It's just I want more of enjoyable filler like what we had with these two episodes.
absolutely. The worst thing an episode could do, whether you like it or hate it, is like at least you feel something with the the very special episode, I felt nothing. I was bored throughout the entire way through.
Yeah, I think I honestly skip. I would honestly skip that one. I wouldn't recommend anyone to watch a very special episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like these two episodes. Like you said, we have good filler, and then we have these, moments of like deep connections with characters. They gotta like confront who they were in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this has been a good week, and hopefully it'll be good going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this has been Too Fast Joe and the Too Fast Podcast. Go check out Generation Defender on her channel. She has some really good content over there. And this has been Too Fast Joe. Remember, go fast, don't be last.